For Mayowa Adeyemi. Woo! You go, girl.
Hello, everybody. I want to be sure everybody can hear me before I start.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So yes, like Derek said, I'll be taking us through a number of UX components and tips and general things to look out for UX writing for components generally. And to start off, I'll be starting with this quote. It's from a book called Writing is Designing, and I think it really sums up a lot of what we should know. I'm assuming a lot of people here are designers. I'm assuming a lot of people here are designers, so a lot of things that we should know, basically. So the quote says, without words, apps would be an unusable jumble of shapes and icons, while voice interfaces and chatbots wouldn't even exist. Words make software human-centered and require just as much thought as the branding and code. So it's important for us to care as much about the words as we care about the colors, the spacing, and every other thing that goes into design. The book is by Michael J. Metz and Andy Weffel. I think one of them works at Adobe. I don't know which. So yes, what is UX writing? And this is the most simplistic, easiest definition that I can think of for UX writing. UX writing is basically using words and language to help users achieve their goal. That's as simple as it gets. And why is it important? To explain the importance of UX writing, I'll be using this example. I learned about it from a Google I/O session from 2017. I think the session is on YouTube. Everybody should actually check it out. It's very, very, very helpful. The title of the session is How Words Make Your Product Stand Out. So basically, this was the before screen for people that wanted to search for hotels on Google. And the headline or the title here said book a room. And at this stage, for users, book a room was too committal. That was not where their mindset was. Users were just trying to check about rooms, check what dates are available, check the price range. And when they saw book a room, it felt like that was prompting them to book there and then, and it led to a lot of drop off. That was changed to check availability. And this check availability met users more where their mindset was. And as simple as it looks, as simple as just these two words look, it led to an entire 17% increase in engagement. So you can see how words can, beyond just helping users, can also lead to even more business value for your product. So before moving on, before going into in depth about the different components, I'll be giving us general UX writing tips, things that we should note that apply across board. First is be clear, concise, and human. It's important for us to think like your users. You don't want to overburden them with unnecessary information that will just lead to cognitive load. You want things to be easy for them. So step into your user's shoes and always ensure that you're using simple words that are easy to understand. Avoid jargon, avoid technical terms that don't make sense to them. So like this first example here, it says send and receive money with friends and family in the US with an email address. It is a two-step process with little latency and there aren't any changes for the receipt. It's too long, it's not clear, and it just ends up getting confusing. This is from Google Material Design. And then the other example we have here, simple. Send money to anyone in the US who has an email address. It's fast, easy, and free. Straight to the point, clear, concise. This second example, Windows system error. There's an IP address conflict with another system on the network. It assumes that the user knows that the user knows what IP address conflict means. And this is just wrong. Like break things down. Don't use developer language or assume that they know all of these your terms. Break it down to simple language that they will understand. The next thing is to be helpful. And it's basically similar to what I said previously about thinking like your users. Always anticipate your users' needs and questions at every stage, at every point, so you can help and provide them with answers and guides. So you make sure that you're putting yourself in their shoes, you are helping remove the anxiety that they're thinking of, like what happens next. So this example, for instance, this first one here is from Airbnb, and then you have micro copied there under that just says you won't be charged yet. After booking, you can cancel for free within 48 hours. And that just it helps the users know that, oh, by clicking this button doesn't mean money is leaving my account immediately. Or this one from Amazon, when someone is shopping and you have this tiny micro copy there that still says you can review this order before it's final. So like even before you finally pay, you can still go back and check and everything. So it just helps your users reduce their anxiety or questions or whatever worries that they might possibly have. The next point is to lead with the benefits or objective. When a sentence describes an objective and the action and the action needed to achieve it, start the sentence with the objective. This is because people are generally more interested in what's in it for them and the action that they're about to take. So it's best to just present that first. Give that to them first. They are scanning to see what they want to do. So give them the action that they want to take first. So instead of something like enter your credit card number to make a payment, start with to make a payment, enter your credit card number. And the final tip that I will be giving today, is it the final tip? No, I don't think so. Reflect your brand voice. So it's important to define what the company or product brand voice is and to write in a way that it communicates this at different touch points. Oh, sorry. Can everybody hear me now? I saw a comment about my voice breaking.
Yeah, we can.
All right, all right.
Or I can rather. Yeah.
Okay. So, like I'm saying
We hear you well.
okay. So, like I'm saying here, reflect your brand voice. I mean, a good product that we have seen do that here is Okwe of Cowrywise. Everybody loves Cowrywise because of how they have positioned themselves as that cheeky friend that is ready to encourage and tease you playfully into wanting to save. So they would drop all of these notifications and prompts like, hold on, can you afford it? You should save that money you're about to blow today. Black Friday tip, save that money you're about to spend. Dear friend, stay in your financial lane this December. So at different points in your product, you're allowed to infuse your brand voice and let it be evidenced through your product. And then this is pretty straightforward. Use numerals. When numbers are involved, use numerals rather than spelling it in full because numerals are just generally easier to scan and read. It's easier to read this than this. So now to the business of today. I'll be taking us through different tips, different things to note when writing for empty states, dialogues, and error messages. Thank you, Kay. I don't know what I pressed to. I'm so sorry, guys. Okay. Yes, so we're starting with empty states. And the first thing is don't actually leave it empty. Don't actually leave it blank. Empty states are a great opportunity to build fun, to build excitement for new users. And leaving it completely blank does a disservice to your users since it leaves them absolutely nothing to work with. An example is this empty state from Instagram. It's just blank, it's empty. Compared to this one from Facebook, there's a prompt, no mutual friends to show. It lets you know why that place is empty. There's a button, find friends. It gives you something to work with, something to move with. The next is empty states can help you inform your users and educate them on the things that they can do within the product. So we have this example from Dropbox Paper's empty space, and it's pretty straight to the point. The body copy reads, paper is more than a doc. It's a workspace that brings coordination and it's a workspace that brings creation and coordination together in one place. Write and edit, brainstorm, review designs, manage tasks, or run meetings. So it has basically sold Dropbox Paper to someone that's already in there that's probably using it for the first time that maybe doesn't know so much about it rather than it just being empty. And then it has a get started button. Next is that your empty states can be used to inspire action. It's a great way to motivate users to complete setup, to complete tasks, to try something new, like the option we have here. Start building your dashboard. Before we can create any chart, we'll first need to get some data here. And so with this empty states that we have here, it has given the user something to do. It has told them how to go about it, and then it has the button there, add data. And then next, empty states are an amazing chance for you to show your brand voice. It presents you with an opportunity to be playful, to be funny, to show off your brand's personality. Like this one here, there's nothing left to do. You deserve some ice cream. It's nice, it's funny, it's cheeky. It's a chance to show your users who you are as a brand. That's that about empty states. We're moving on to dialogues. And I'll start with the parts or anatomy, so to speak, of the dialogue. So you have the container, the title, the body text, buttons or actions. But we'll really just be focusing on writing for the title, body text, and buttons and actions. There are generally two types of dialogues can be generally grouped into two categories or two types. The first is confirmation dialogues. These ones are used to prevent users from making an unintentional mistake or to seek confirmation when the decision the users need to make is immediate or important. And is also used to ask for permission from users. So for example, we have this dialogue here that says delete notes and the body. Deleting a note will permanently remove it from your library. No, keep notes. Yes, delete notes. This one by Google is one that has helped me a lot of time. A lot of times, I found it very useful, and is when you want to send a mail, and maybe in the body of the mail you've written, "Please find attached" or something like that. It prompts you and it says, "Oh, it seems like you forgot to attach a file. You wrote 'I have attached' in your message, but there are no files attached. Send anyway. Cancel. Okay." And then this one to seek permission that says allow translate to record audio, deny, allow. Then there are also information dialogues. These ones are usually just friendly heads up. They are to inform users about a complication, a recommended course of action, a marketing invitation, a promotion, etc. And they can also be an onboarding technique to explain something a user might not be completely familiar with. So like this one here that says, you just sent a message, be sure to log all of your external communications in the timesheet so you get paid for your work. All communication logs are reset on Sunday at 12 a.m. EST. So it just gives an information and it's something that the user might not necessarily know, and it presents that to them. So now to writing for dialogue or titles. So if the dialogue requires the users to make a decision, then write the title as a question. So if it's a confirmation dialogue that requires them to make a decision, is requesting permission, write the title as a question. And avoid using questions that are vague like, "Are you sure?" Because this is vague. It doesn't add any specific action. And if you remember, one of the first things I said was part of when I was giving general tips was to lead with the objective. This is the first thing the user is going to see. So get to the point. Rather than something like, "Are you sure?" You can put use location service. Is more specific. And for a case where the dialogue is just informational with no decision required, then the title can be a statement. And in a case like that, it doesn't have to be a question. Next is for writing body text. For writing body text for dialogue, the body text should be concise and only provide the necessary information that the user needs at that point. It should also be helpful for the user. Remember when we talked about be helpful? So we have this one. This is something I've personally encountered with Google Chrome before. It says confirm form resubmission. The page that you're looking for used information. The page that you're looking for used information that you entered. Returning to that page might cause any action you took to be repeated. Do you want to continue? It's the first time I encountered this. I wasn't even sure what it was asking me. It was confusing. It wasn't clear. Compared to this example by Windows Internet Explorer, this isn't even perfect because it's not exactly concise, but it gives more context. It explains better. It helps the user better. So it says to display the web page again, Internet Explorer needs to resend the information you've previously submitted. If you were making a purchase, you should click cancel to avoid a duplicate transaction. Otherwise, click retry to display the website again. So it is more helpful. It puts things in more context. It's not as confusing as this one at least. This one on this end is just is unnecessary for the user to even be able to make this type of decision to even start with. So it says discard new events. If you discard this event before it's being saved, you might change the data set, resulting in a mismatch between events for this date. In most cases, autosave prevents this from happening. And it's too much information for the user to process. Make the software do the work, not the user. Ask the developer to prevent this type of situation from even happening in the first place because it's unnecessary. Next is for buttons or actions. Now, a good rule of thumb for buttons or actions is that your users should never be surprised by what happens after they click or tap a button. So ask yourself, is the text in this button, is it clear? Is it straight to the point? If the user clicks this, do they know what they are doing by clicking this, so to speak? So one thing to note, make sure the question and the action button use the same words. If they don't, it can lead to confusion for the users. So we have this option, this example here that says discard new event, and then the button says cancel and erase. The body here is saying discard, the button is saying erase, and it's confusing. It's like it can lead to confusion. It's like, okay, clicking erase, is that what I'm supposed to do? So in a case like this, rather than doing that, it should just be cancel and discard. This, on the other hand, just has so many things wrong with it. It's confusing from the warning. Then you have proceeding with the operation delete will erase the content of your hard drive. What do you wish to do? Proceed, delete. The user is confused. The user does not know whether to click proceed or delete. Even me myself, I don't know what each of the buttons do. If I click proceed, will it delete it? If I click delete, will it delete it? Be clear and use the same action word in the question and the button. Then the next thing to note is use literal action verbs, especially when words like yes, no, or okay are vague and confusing. Now, there are some situations where yes, no, or okay can be acceptable to use. But like I said the first time, ask yourself if it is clear. Ask yourself if the user clicks this, does the user know what each of these buttons stand for? Would the user be confused as to which of these buttons to use? So for example, this example from Skype now, it says reject the file. Are you sure you want to cancel? Sorry. Are you sure you want to cancel? If you cancel now, you will not receive this file. And the button says okay or cancel. You can't tell which of those buttons actually cancels it. You can't tell if it is okay that cancels it. You can't tell if it is cancel that cancels it. And it's not even in line with the headline. The headline says reject the file. The button is saying okay and cancel. It's confusing. Or here that says discard draft. No, yes. Make it simple. Use actual verbs rather than yes, no. Use cancel, use discard. And then for buttons for information dialogues that don't necessarily require any action from the user, a simple okay, cool, got it, or any of its appropriate derivatives would do. Avoid adding an unnecessary extra button text that just confuses the user. Like this option now, it says location service just got better. You can also read reviews of local restaurants and leave feedback of your own. It's just telling the user a new feature that just got added or something that just got added. The user is not making any decision. This dialogue just wants the user to know something. By putting cancel here, it now gets confusing. It's like, if I'm the user, for instance, I'm like, okay, if I click cancel now, does it mean I won't have this better location service? So in cases like this, just leave a single button that just says okay, that says cool, that says got it, or anything like that. And then finally, writing for error messages. Part of the things that we mentioned earlier, be helpful. Say what happened using clear human language. This example we have here, it says error, failed to initialize booking ending, bad request, multiple hotel results. This is developer language. This is not human language. This is not clear language. This isn't something that you would actually say to someone, and it's confusing. So take that back-end developer stuff that has happened, whatever it is that has caused the error, and translate it into regular human language that is understandable. Like something we have here, for instance, oops, we couldn't find the hotel we were looking for at this time. And the button, try again. The next thing to note is, with error messages, say how to fix it or what to do next. A personal pet peeve I have with some error messages is when you tell me something is wrong and you don't help me know what to do next. Like you just tell me, oh, this was wrong. You don't tell me, oh, is it my internet that has a problem? Should I check my internet connection? Should I try again? Should I go back to input something? Be clear on what happened. Say how to fix it. Be helpful. Say what to do next. The next thing to note is don't accuse the user. Yes, sometimes the error is the user's fault, but you don't want to come up sounding like you're accusing or attacking them. So for example, instead of saying something like, you entered the wrong password, you can be more diplomatic with it and say, oh, that doesn't look like the right password. Or in a case like this example that is here, where the user forgot to put their name, rather than saying you didn't enter your name, it says, please enter your name. And then the final thing, error messages are not exactly a great time to be funny. it's important to understand how your user is feeling at different touch points so that your tone of voice can be empathetic and appropriate. Users tend to be frustrated when they encounter an error message. It's when they are trying to do something and something went off and you're now making jokes. It's just going to end up annoying them instead of putting them at ease. So, for instance, maybe it's a fintech app and you're trying to send money to someone and then the money didn't go through or your money is hanging. And instead of being helpful, instead of being useful, is making jokes. You will just be annoyed, like, what is this one saying? You're not helping me. I don't know what is going on and all of that. So you need to be careful. So in some cases, it might be fine to make a joke to put the users at ease, but it's better to just err on the side of caution. It's better to err on the side of caution and not necessarily try to be cheeky or funny or anything. And that is the end of my presentation. I know it's kind of short, but yes. Thank you. So I guess this is the time for questions, comments, feedback, and all of that. Okay, so everybody's quiet now. And
Thank you so much, Mayowa. That was really, really educating. Yeah, guys, if you have, like everybody should clap for Mayowa. Yeah, like in the comment section, clap, clap, clap. Woo, Mayowa, go!
Thank you.
Yeah, so you guys, if you have any questions, ask her. Yeah. Yeah, ask any questions in the comment section, and she'll be sure to respond to you. Yeah.
Everybody's thinking about their questions or
Nobody has. Okay, somebody has a question though.
Yes. So what's the difference between UX writing and copywriting? I feel like I anticipated this question. So to answer that, I work as a copywriter full time in my day job. I work in an advertising agency, and the difference between the two is with copywriting, the writer is trying to be sexy with words. The writer is trying to, tug at your emotions, is trying to play with how you feel, is trying to spur you on to do something. Copywriting is very notice the words, it's a very notice the words profession, so to speak. While with UX writing, it's not about, how do I put this? It's not about the words itself. It's about helping the user. So you're not trying to use fancy language. You're not trying to bamboozle people. You're not trying to dazzle people. You're trying to help the users do something. That's the major difference between the two, is that. How do you anticipate user needs on UX components? So that has to do with knowing what each of the components are supposed to do. So for an error message, for instance, that component is supposed to tell people that something has gone wrong. At that point, you already know, okay, this is how the user might be feeling at this point. This is what went wrong. How do we help them? Caleb is asking, should a UX designer learn UX writing or outsource this part of the project? So I am tempted to say that it is better outsourced to someone that is going to do it completely. But I understand that this is Nigeria and not a lot of clients are willing to add the extra budget of a UX writer. So it's important for you to, fight for someone that understands words, fight for someone that is going to help the product to be better using words. But in a situation where you know that the chances of that are very slim, is why classes like this, for instance, exist, to help you as the designer to already have a background knowledge of how writing works. Because even if you have a UX writer, it doesn't mean that, you just be feeling everywhere you learn, ipsum, learn, ipsum. Learn, ipsum annoys me, by the way. So it doesn't mean you just be feeling everywhere you learn, ipsum. It's important for UX designers to also understand how UX writing works. Does a UX writer need the skills accumulated by a copywriter? How do I answer this question? Does a UX writer need the skills accumulated by a copywriter? In some ways, yes. I mean, being a copywriter helps me to understand how words work. But something I've had to learn is dropping my ego with words. So with copywriting, the words that I write are like my words. They're very personal to me, you know. They're me displaying how I'm feeling, and I can infuse all of that into it. With UX writing, all I'm concerned about is the user. How is the user feeling? What are they trying to do, and all of that. Okay, I can see from Osas, from my experience, how can you get better at UX writing? So even though this is a kind of new field, there's a lot of information on the internet. There's a lot of information on the internet. So it's a great place to start is reading articles. There are lots of articles on mediums. There are books that you can read. Like the second slide I showed had a quote from a book, Writing is Designing. And the great thing about that book in particular was that it was written targeted to designers. So it's a great book. It's a great place to start. There's strategic writing for UX by I can't remember her name now. Anna something something. I have a bunch of books. Maybe later on I can share them. I'm coming. I'm trying to see if I can get the list because I made a list of useful books. Da, 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 da.
Hi. Okay, so just to make this easier, like for everyone, you can share the list now, but then we'll collect the whole list from you later, so we can add it to the Asha Kutiri resources page. Yeah,
I
but
think that will
I'll
actually
post
be
the
better
link.
because I can't. Yeah, I can't remember them offhand now, but I can pull a bunch of books that people can start with. Um,
Also, you get the slides. Please say yes. Please say yes. Please say
yeah,
yes.
yeah, sure, sure. I can. I'll share the slide with the organizers
Yeah. Thank
once this
you.
is done. So, any other questions, feedback, comments? I think Olal is asking how you can get the slides. I'll share it with Asha. I'm assuming Asha will put it out there. So just follow. If you're not following Asha by now, you should go and follow Asha on Twitter and Instagram, and then you can check there for updates on this.
Yeah, best steps.
Um, any other questions? I think someone is asking what other communities exist for UX writers. So maybe part of what I'll share with Asha, there are these two, what's it called? There are two Slack groups I belong to for UX writers. One is from UX Writers Collective, and if you can afford to actually take their course, I took a course there from UX Writers Collective, Fundamentals of UX Writing, and it was amazing. It was amazing. You guys should check them out. They also have a blog where they post things, and they have a Slack channel with lots of useful information. There's also content and UX Slack channel. There are lots of LinkedIn groups that you can join. There are lots of Facebook groups that you can join that have useful information also.
Okay, does anyone have any more questions?
What are some challenges are faced or continue to face as a UX writer? I think number one would be getting people to actually see the need and importance for UX writers to even start with. And seeing UX writers not just as the words people, because it's important for there to be proper collaboration between the writer and the designer. So a lot of times you see that the design process is practically done, and then they just dump it on you and say, "Oh, fill it with words," and it doesn't work like that. It's necessary for both parties to brainstorm together from the start, prototype together from the start. When testing is done, when user testing is done, let UX writing be part of the things that is being tested from the start. So I think that is it, getting people to see the need for collaboration and not just you're not just the end person where everything is done and you just fill it up with words. Any other things?
Any more questions, guys?
So Someone is asking, UX writing is so niche. Can you pursue it as a career on its own? Yes, yes, you can, with the caveat that it's a growing field here. So you would have to, how do I put it? You'd have to fight for your share at the table if you want to pursue UX writing full time, because it's really, really new here. Like, a lot of designers don't even know that there's something called UX writing to even start with. So yes, with understanding the struggle that lays before you doing UX writing full time in Nigeria. But there's also the chances, I mean, the world has turned into a global village. So there's also the chances of you getting remote jobs and remote gigs. So yeah, sure, why not? Any more questions? Does a UX writer compose the privacy policy page, FAQs, and other similar pages? Yes. So yes, with another caveat. So there are, how to explain this? So with privacy policy page, for instance, to understand the privacy policy, I need to know the legal behind it, if that makes sense. So I need to know the legal behind it, and I am not a lawyer. I don't fully understand the legal behind it, so there'll be a need for somebody to provide that for me. Does that like make sense? But generally, the words involved in your products generally are the job of a UX writer. Thank you guys for the encouragement.
You go, girl, you go, girl, go. You go, girl, you go, girl, go.
This is vague, but what does UX feel like at the end of the tunnel, and why is UX so important in these times? Hmm. That's a very wide question that I don't even know where to start answering from. I think to answer that, so for John Rice's question, I think I'd rather invite, the people like Caleb, our Ogas, to answer that. Are they here? Are they listening? Hi, hi. Hello, hello.
Hello, can you guys hear me? So John's question is, what does UX feel like at the end of the tunnel, and why is UX so important in this time? So UX feels at the end of the tunnel. I don't think that there's an answer at the end to the tunnel. User experience will be relevant for a very long time, and it has been relevant even if the term is user experience um, only came into being like 20 years ago. Uh, I like to make the statement that it's become very easy to build competent technology, and like the opportunity for competitive advantage doesn't exist anymore if your company only depends on building good technology, like technology that works. So we have companies like Apple trying to have some form of differentiating factor in their product or service offering by focusing on the user experience. And it ranges from just slapping it on your company or on your product like a label. We love our users, we love our community, and all of that. It ranges from that to actually do actually talking to your users, carrying out the research, adhering to the frameworks and principles that have been created over time with respect to user experience. So yeah, it's really important now because of competitive advantage and because the user is kind of the god right now. And I don't think that will change anytime soon.
Thank you, Caleb. I think Lade is asking, where does UX writing fall under content strategy? So while they are very similar and intertwined, UX writing is more of a subset of content strategy as a whole. So content strategy focuses on the broad plan for messaging for content generally within your product, while UX writing focuses on the words that the person reads, the words that the person hears. So how do I put this? UX writing uses content strategy. You can't have UX writing without content strategy. Yes, so UX writing is a subset of content strategy as a whole. I hope that makes sense. And the truth is, a lot of people actually do the both UX writing and content strategy these days. What are the problems that a user usually faces with the current design of the I think that my slides kind of explained that. I think that, so I don't know if you joined from the start, but I think going through, I had already mentioned a lot of problems that users face and how UX writing helps. John is asking to explain why the Wizard of Oz technique is effective. I'm not sure if I can answer that because I don't know enough about the Wizard of Oz technique, so I might not be able to answer that. Asaz is asking what was my motivation to go into UX writing, to give a bit of it. So my motivation for this was I do a little bit of design and I write in my full day job. So I was looking for the middle ground between the two. And Lade was actually very helpful. She does these sessions where you can call for for her to help you with career questions and stuff like that. And she was the first person that mentioned UX writing to me. And when I started reading about UX writing and what it is, it was a sweet spot between the two things that I was very interested in. It was a perfect sweet spot for me, which is why it is something that I am going into now. I hope that answers your question. Someone said motivation is money. Yes, so money is important. And yes, the slides will be shared on Asha Kutere's Twitter page. All right.
Okay, so assuming that there are no more questions, are there? For around,
It doesn't
do you
look
have
like
any more questions, guys?
there are any more questions. Are there? Giveaway. Victor, you can sponsor the giveaway for us, so you can sponsor it for us. Yes, sure. I am available for questions anytime. I have shamelessly plugged my social media handles there. So if you have questions or anything you need my help with, please feel free to DM me, feel free to mention me and all of that. I'm very available. Where can we reach? So the easiest place to reach me would probably be on Twitter. The easiest place to reach me will probably be on Twitter. So you can DM me if you have questions or anything like that. I'll be happy to answer. Ushe, design solutions for giveaway app.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mayowa.
Thank you so much.
It's been a really good and educating session. I'm sure everybody has already said that they loved it. So, yeah.
Hey, someone is asking what are my
Yeah, someone
rates.
is asking what your rate
Slide into my
okay,
DMs.
money.
If you want to find out my rates, slide into my DMs.
Yeah, you guys should have. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So before we go, we would be putting a feedback form in the comments for the session. So just like tell us how this session was for you. If there are things that you love, things that you didn't particularly like, things you'd like us to improve on. Yeah, so that would be posted in the comment section now, or like in the next few seconds or minutes. So yeah. Thank you once again, Mayowa. If anybody
Thank
has any
you.
additional questions, they can like reach out on Twitter, and she'll be very sure to answer. What if you're not on Twitter or Instagram?
What
Mayowa,
if you're
over to
not
you.
on Twitter or Instagram? Maybe I should have put my email address in here.
Okay.
Um, um, my email address is long. Is my full name and my surname at gmail.com, but it's long. So what I
Just
shall
type
do
it
is that
for
I will type it here so that you can see it wide and clear. Yeah. So there it is. It is Oluwamayowa Adeyemi at gmail.com. I hope everybody can see it. I'm trying my possible best to make sure that I see it. So yeah, just in case you don't use social media, you can reach me via email. And yes, please don't forget to fill the feedback form to help us give you guys better sessions. So the link is in the chat now.
Okay. So that's all for today, folks. Yeah, again, thank you, Mayowa. And the same link not found. Oh wow, hold on 1 second.
Okay, I think someone is saying the link is broken. Thank you, Abigail. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much.
Hi, the link is working from my end. So I don't know, try again. Is anybody else having problem with the link?
Yeah, I think the link is fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mara. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank
Um,
you all for listening to me talk for so long.
it was worth it. It was worth it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys. The session is officially